Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. It is that time of year again. It is Shelftember, which I am very ready to begin. I have had Shelftember thoughts on my mind for the last month or so, and truth be told, I'm starting a little bit early. So let's get into it. What is Shelftember? So Shelftember is a pantry challenge that happens during the month of September. Granted, you could do it any time of the year. There's a few other pantry challenges that are pretty well known, but what we're doing is we are using up the foods in our pantry so they don't go to waste and subsequently saving money. So it's a win-win. This challenge is one of my favorites. I've been doing it for over a decade, though when I started I did not know it was called Shelftember. There was nothing about that. I would just use everything in my pantry, and I do it about once every 3 months. So let me run you through a little bit of the backstory, how I used to do it, what my rules are for this year, and I'll show you a little bit of what I want to use up. So many years ago, when I first bought my house back in 2013, I would buy and fill my pantry and fill my fridge, and at that point I had one fridge and one pantry. It was actually a pretty decent size. It was probably about one of these, but the shelves were like, every other, so I couldn't fit quite as much. So what I would do is I would stock up and buy a ton of stuff all at once. And then throughout the month, I would go through and I wouldn't buy groceries again until I was basically like empty of food. I wouldn't keep anything stocked. And so I just wanted to make sure every little bit of food gets used. And it did. And then I'd stock up again. And then I'd continue to rotate and continue to rotate. So flash forward to moving into this house. We moved in here in 2017. And I did kind of the same thing, but then I started realizing I need to be having a little bit of like a food storage. I had just gotten married. I realized it was important that we have food here just in case. So somewhere along the line of being in the other house, I did get another fridge. So we brought the spare fridge, because I kept the old one, to the new house, and we ended up having 2 fridges and freezers, and I was able to store a little bit more. Now, I've always been one to store food in the freezer because I like to prep ahead, so that was good. I was able to double my storage space, but my pantry space was big but kind of unusable. So my pantry in this house has gone through a few renovations. That's for another video. But over the years of living here, I've realized there's a really big need to be a little bit more sustainable, so I've been keeping a lot more food in the house, and I am trying to make sure to use it all up now. So now I have my pantry here, which has these 3 main areas of cabinets. I've got my shelves, I have some more shelves there, I have some extra storage on the other side, and then I have all of my fridges and freezers. So the rules. What am I doing for rules? In the past, I didn't have rules. I just used all the stuff. That was all it was. And it had nothing to do with money. It was just use the stuff so it doesn't go bad. For this pantry challenge, the rules that I'm going to follow are I can still grocery shop for all the fresh items that I need. I might not need very many though, because it's garden season and the peas are coming out of the garden and the green beans, and pretty soon we'll be getting pears and not plums, grapes, and then the zucchini, of course. Those just started. Those are gonna be coming like crazy. So we might not need much, but I'm going to allow myself to do the $35 a week because that's how much I need in order to deliver groceries. And I'm usually not one to go into the grocery store, but if I want to spend less, I of course could just run into the grocery store. It's not that big of a deal, but if I need to, I'm going to allow myself to order. Maybe I'll do that twice, and then I'll just run in if I need to at other times. The goal would be to stay probably under $100, because then I'm actually using the things. If I need something in order to use something up, I'll buy it, but I usually don't cook that way anyways. I shelf cook. And I'll talk more about shelf cooking as soon as I get through the rest of the rules. So rules-wise, otherwise, is I just want to try to use at least 2 things every single week that are on my list. So if I can do that, we will be in good shape, because there's a few things in here that I've realized I can't use anymore. I've been wanting to do tamales. I used to make tamales every 6 months or so. So I had all the stuff stocked up, and I just opened up the lard, and it was best by 2022. So it was a goner. It smelled bad. It was not good. I think everything in that section might need to go. We'll see. For shelf cooking, that's what we're going to be doing during this challenge, and we will start with things in the pantry and we'll supplement from other places, and if I need to buy extras, we'll supplement from there. But the goal is to start with either the things in the pantry or the things in the freezer that need to be used up, and then use them up using other ingredients to supplement. So with that, we'll be spending under $100 for the month of September, not Shelftember, the month of September during the Shelftember challenge. We will be doing at least 2 things, hopefully, each week, using stuff up. I don't typically cook more than 2 or 3 times a week, so that's pretty much every meal. And then the third is that we're going to be shelf cooking to do it. So let me show you what I want to use up. We're not going to do a full pantry tour. If you're interested in a full pantry tour, I will link that up here, but let me show you just a few things. So let's start up here. I have all of these containers, and the one I want to use is right here. This is peppers, oops, and kind of looking at the wrong spot, I'm pointing. In real life, I'm pointing at the ceiling, but in the camera, I'm pointing at the peppers. I want to use those up. We don't like peppers in this house. Well, my husband doesn't like peppers, and peppers don't like me. So we don't really use them. So I need to use those up. And then other than that, this is all things that we rotate through. So like I need to refill the jasmine rice, but I usually like to use all of it first and then refill. But so there's nothing else here that I need to use up. And then over here, I want to use the masa. I've been saying that, and I just haven't done it. So I need to check first to see if it's still good or if it's gone rancid. Then I'll decide what to do next. And I would like to use a little bit of peanut butter powder and celery, maybe some cheese powder, maybe some spinach powder. But these are kind of like, well, if I get to it, I get to it. If not, oh well. And then down here, these are all good. These are all pretty new, just like alternative baking supplies. So nothing there that I want to use. So to the canning pantry, I have so many things that I want to can. Doesn't have anything to do with Shelftember, but my list is huge. So I need to start using some things up. So some things I want to use. These baked beans that didn't turn out very well that I have been trying to use up. There's only one jar left. I want to use those up. I also want to use these giant jars of beans, though I'm not sure how. So that might be something for I don't know, maybe chilies. And then this, chickpeas, these were on my pantry challenge list like 2 or 3 years ago because I didn't use them at all. I didn't know how to use them. And then I started using them for curries during pantry challenge, and then I've been rebuying them ever since. So that's kind of what happens when you do pantry challenge. Sometimes you use something that's been sitting for so long, and then you learn how to use it, and then you keep using it. So in this case, I have been continuing to use it. However, I kind of got out of the habit of making curries over the last year. If you're new here, you don't know, my last year was a little bit rough. I was really dizzy, so I didn't really cook. But now I have all these chickpeas behind me. I'm like looking in the viewfinder behind me at them, and I need to be using them. So it's about time to make some curry. Yellow curry is my favorite. This is blueberry pie filling, which is delicious, and I'm like kind of questioning if I want to use it or not because it's the last one and it's just so good. Would be great if I could get through these green beans. There's only 2 jars left. Behind them is corn. I've learned I'm not the biggest fan of canned vegetables. So I don't think I'm going to can any of these again. Maybe I'll can onions again. I have onions here. I do need to can some balsamic onion jam because that's delicious to throw in sourdough bread. But these are a little bit harder for me to use. They have a little bit of a canned flavor, which isn't my favorite. So we'll see. If I can use some of them, great. If not, no big deal. And then I have this last jar of sweet chili sauce that needs to be used, and so I will hopefully get to that as well. Other than that, everything else in here is pretty new and fresh, aside from these sweet potatoes that have been on the list every pantry challenge for the last couple, and I'm doing good. I had like a half a shelf's worth, and there's only 4 left, so I'm not going to stress using them this time. But over here is zucchini pineapple, which it's about time to make some more of that. So not that I'm trying to necessarily use all of it up, but if I want to, there we go. Now coming down here, this is my least organized cabinet. It has all of my like extra odds and end baking flours and such that are all different, like the coconut flour, the oat flour. That's all fine. But up here, I really need to use this sushi rice. That's been there for a long time. It's time to use it. These grits I would like to use because they're kind of in the way and bulky. And then something I've gotten out of the habit of is rice noodles. And I love rice noodles. The problem is I usually like to cook big batches and they don't freeze very well. So I need to kind of make them with the idea in mind that I'm going to be using them for one meal only. So I want to use some of those. Otherwise, if I use anything in here, great. If not, no big deal. And then in here, yes, don't mind the Quest chips. I have decided that if I'm going to be eating chips, I'm going to make them healthy, and I limit myself on how much I can eat them because they're a little expensive, but I always get them on sale. So in here though, there's really not a ton that I want to use up. Maybe some oatmeal, but that oatmeal won't go bad. It'll be fine. And then down here, those where we get to the things. So all of these little containers are things I need to use up. Now something like pad thai has soy sauce. I've been avoiding soy sauce, which is why I haven't used it. So I'd like to use some of those pre-packaged things up. And then down here, I want to use some of these crushed tomatoes up. I bought 4 jars because I had recipes in mind and I don't remember what those recipes were. So I don't know what I'm going to use those for. So we'll figure that out. Otherwise, everything in here is things that I rotate through, and we're getting ready for zucchini pineapple. Now over here, we have all of the different butters, and I run through these pretty quickly, aside from I haven't run through the Biscoff one because it's so good, but it's just not good for you. I would like to get through these jellos and puddings. I don't know if I will. I've been saying that for a while. And then up here, this is just all of my stuff that I like to bake with, so that's fine. And this is the area for tamales. I just threw the lard away from. I need to check these. These have been in here for far too long. It might be time to just call that one a loss. And this is all other baking supplies, which are good to go. In this cabinet, I keep extras of things. The only thing in here that I really want to use up is maybe this grape jam. I bought that with chili sauce to make those meatballs that's like grape jam and chili sauce, and I never did it. So we'll see. I might do that. And then down in here, we just have some beans and some rice, and I am planning on canning beans and rice, so that's neat. Something else that's not for Shelftember is I have way too much sugar. I don't know what made me think that it'd be a good idea to double stack the sugar all the way back, so I think candy making is in my future because I will never go through that much sugar otherwise. My fridge is pretty bare, so realistically, there's not a whole lot in here that I want to use up. I do have some open things in here that I'd like to use, like the rest of the taco sauce, sweet chili sauce, the rest of these sun-dried tomatoes, and then maybe this Worcestershire sauce that I made. Otherwise, everything in here rotates. I mean, right now I need to cook. We don't have like much in the fridge, so we're good in the fridge. Now, another area that I want to focus on is the freezers. And this is my main area that I want to use up. This is my single serve freezer meals. There's not very many left, but I'm trying to not make more unless it's just leftovers from a meal because I want to use these up. These ones were the ones that weren't my favorite, so I want to use those up. This is just an ice pack. Put that with the other little ice cubes. It goes inside of a plastic water bottle. It like twists on. I actually just stick that in my lunchbox instead though. And then there is some bread in the back of one of these that I'd like to use up. It is the curry bread. Otherwise, everything else in here is pretty new, and I just want to be using things up before I make more. I would like to use up maybe those sweet potato pizzas. I've been eating them little by little. They're sweet potato barbecue pizzas. They're delicious. Maybe these chicken burgers too, though they're not very old, so that's fine. And then I would like to work through a lot of the vegetables that I have up here because I seem to just not gravitate to them. But if I'm gravitating to the canned vegetables, that works too because I'd like to use those up as well. We are now in the garage, and I have some frozen soy milk, because they gave me the wrong kinds. I like the ones that are shelf stable. I ordered the shelf stable, and they gave me the other one. So we're going to see if freezing soy milk works. So that's a good experiment to stick around for. I also have some, let's see, orange juice, eggs, milk, heavy cream that I could use up. Not really in a rush. And then in here, we have a few marinated meats left. Those are all brand new. That's fine to have them there. And then a few freezer meals. There's some freezer meals in here from last year, some that are pretty new. I'd like to use up the meatloaves. Maybe not during Shelftember, but at some point. So realistically, I want to use up what we have before I add more. Otherwise, the things that I don't like as much just kind of get shoved in the back. And I try to make things just a little bit at a time because who knows if I'll like them. And back here is just a bunch of butter because it was on sale one day. We have made it to the basement freezers, which are actually looking pretty dang empty, which is good and bad. I'm using through things, which is great. So the goal here is just to use up all the things that have been in here for a while that I haven't been using. And I've definitely learned carrots. I definitely don't like those ones either. So I think carrots, I am someone who likes the homegrown carrots or just like whole carrots. And then I like to just flash freeze them. And that's the best way for me. This is what's left of the zucchini from last year, so I'd like to use that up before I get inundated with zucchini from this year. So maybe I'll make some zucchini bread or something. We'll see. But if I make curry, I can use squash in curry. So that's what I do instead of peppers. So anytime a recipe calls for peppers, I substitute out squash and zucchini. I have one thing of brats left. I have a ton onions, green onions. So I got to figure out what I want to do with those. Those are the onion tops from last year. And then these need to be used, which is why I haven't been buying more. I have a roast that definitely needs to be used like sooner rather than later. And then I have another just piece of meat. I don't know what it is. Some type of, it's a beef slice, like a steak. These I would like to use up. These are, I believe they're both pork chops. Yep, and they definitely need to be used. This is why I haven't been buying more meat, because I need to be using those. And I am waiting for ground beef to go on sale. I do have 2 other rolls upstairs that I was going to use and then didn't. But once it goes on sale, I will just refill that ground beef. I wait for these ones. These are at Kroger. They are the 93.7. I wait for them to be $3.97 a pound, or maybe it's $3.99, but I think it's $3.97. So once they go back to that price, I will buy them. And then I've got just some other little sausage links and such, and some cheese, but those are all good. Maybe I'll use these. These have been in here for about a year. And I think we're looking pretty good in this freezer. I have some pork ribs, which are delicious. They've been in here a while, but they're sealed well, and I think we'll be good. I have a turkey in there because I'm going to can the turkey. Not can the turkey. I'm going to pressure cook the turkey. I've done that once before and it was delicious, but that'll be closer to Thanksgiving. Now I've got a ton of sausage here. I think it's all breakfast sausage. I've learned that there's a spice in here that I don't really love, so that's kind of a bummer, but I think we're good. Let's see, what's down here? Oh, just some chicken wings. Yeah, I don't have anything big down there that I need to use anymore. And I think all of this chicken is relatively new. Well, I didn't even put a year on some of these. Yeah. So this one, maybe these chicken thighs, because that says 10/1/23. Yeah, there's a few things that I could use up, but we're looking pretty good in this freezer. We're looking pretty empty though. So as you can see, I'm looking a little empty in areas, I'm looking a little full in others. My plan is to use up all the things that have been in my house for a while, and then in October, it'll be Stocktober, we will be stocking back up. That does not mean I'm going to completely blow my budget in October and buy so much. It just means I'm going to start watching the sales a little bit more and stocking up on the things that we use in this house. So things like those pork chops with the bone in, we don't use them, so I will not be buying them again. Same with big roasts, we don't use them unless I chop them up first. So if I buy a roast, I need to chop it up. So anyways, that is what we're looking like for Shelftember. What I'm wondering is, are you going to participate in the Shelftember Pantry Challenge? If you are, leave a comment down below. Let me know, what are the rules that you're following? What are your goals of this Pantry Challenge? I am very excited to start this challenge with you, and I will be posting weekly videos to show what I'm using up. If you'd like to see more videos about the Shelftember Pantry Challenge, I will pop them up here. I have other videos about Pantry Challenge in January and February of last year. If you were here, you know that didn't go so well, but for Shelftember, those videos did. So I will pop those up, and I will see you next time. Thanks so much for being here. Bye-bye.